Hey there, my name's Brian. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to look at the ABC tool coming out of Smart Recovery. It's a very useful tool that we use in Smart. If you have any questions about like what Smart Recovery is, I'm assuming since you found this video you have somewhat of an understanding, but I will put some more information in the description. But I just want to jump right into how we use the ABC model in cognitive approaches to psychology, and specifically in kind of the context that I'm exploring it today in Smart Recovery. And let's just think about it like this. Let's start off with a concrete example. Imagine a traffic jam. There's 3 different people. Let's assume in this example that they all have an appointment at a similar time and they're on their way to go. There's a terrible traffic jam and they're all stuck there. One person is yelling at people, honking the horn, and getting really angry and frustrated. The second person, it kind of shrugs their shoulders, sits back and puts some music on, sends a text to the person and tells them about the traffic that they're meeting, says I'll be there a little later than I expected, hang tight. And the third person says nothing, but they feel a really paralyzing and overwhelming sense of anxiety about being late, and starts really ruminating on what the consequences are going to be. And so we have 3 people, similar circumstances, vastly different reactions to the stressful situation. What is a model we can use to describe this? And the ABC model and the tools we can use kind of flowing out of the model is a very simple yet powerful way to explain this difference. And I'm going to walk through how it works. It's essentially the ABC model of cognition is thus. It's based on the view that life experience is constituted based out of a series of things that happen, sense perceptions that we have. The A in this, another way to say this is they're activating events. These can be external events like hitting a traffic jam in our example. They can be internal experiences like I'm getting an intense crave for alcohol or other drugs right now, or binge eating or whatever we're working with. But it's essentially a perception of some kind of stimuli, sometimes called a cue, a trigger, in this case an activating event, A. Beliefs is the B. Our expectations, our interpretations, our priors, our beliefs about this situation that's going on right now, and then C, the consequences. The feelings and behaviors that flow from this A and B thing that's going on, the trigger, and then our kind of interpretive lens we're putting on it. In the case of the, it could be that anxiety we talked about, it could be the anger, and it could be just having a more healthy coping mechanism, like the folks in our example. And going a little deeper, like how can we use it? Let's say you're someone who has noticed a pattern of stressful situations that you're looking to cope with in a different way, in a more healthy way. How could you actually use this kind of model to kind of deconstruct your experience a little bit and perhaps become more successful with your goals? And the main thing to really understand is there's always a thought or interpretation according to this model. And, there's a whole theory of cognitive psychology, and there are people who've done a lot of research on this that are really convinced of it. Me personally, I don't know. I haven't been the person who's done that studies, but I found this model to be very helpful at looking at some deeply entrenched beliefs and interpretations I had about social situations. So I just kind of approach this as like a helpful game that can generate insight. But one of the ideas is that it's a fairly decent map of our psychology. And so going back, the main thing to understand in this model is that there's a thought or interpretation, a B, a belief, between any stimuli and the consequences that happen. And sometimes this happens so fast and it's very unconscious and implicit. This B is just misunderstood. It's not seen. we tend to imply an A to C event, activating event to consequences relationship in our day-to-day thinking, and don't see any mediating beliefs or interpretation at all. And so that is the juice of this model, is we're going to look at our beliefs. And a very quick summary: our beliefs and thoughts about adversity causes our reactions, or is implicated in our reactions very, very strongly. That's assumption one. Assumption two is that the model will help us understand the connection between adversity, our beliefs, and our emotional and behavioral responses. Assumption three is that our sometimes our beliefs about situations, especially, I'll just finish. Sometimes our beliefs about a situation are not accurate, and our reactions undermine a more resilient response. And so one of the assumptions is basically, sometimes we're not, there could be a different way to look at things, a more, potentially a better way, a more resilient way. That's still up for interpretation. However, it's possible. Especially if we're noticing negative patterns in our life. We can use some of the common. Assumption 4 is that we can use the ABC model to understand and make our beliefs conscious, our core beliefs conscious, our automatic unconscious beliefs conscious, and just kind of gently, compassionately examine if they're true, and talk and dialogue with people we care about and people who are interested in this kind of thing, as if these beliefs are true or not. Using assumption 5 is that we can use B to C connections to help us identify our beliefs, know about what our emotional reactions are, and identify what types of beliefs we may have. It's a bit of a recapitulation, but I think it's worth saying again. And then finally, lastly, assumption 6 is there's a kind of idea, especially in a lot of the theorists that use this model, that I just want to make present to us, is there's an assumption that our prior beliefs are better if they're flexible, useful, more congruent with reality, and kind of more consistent without contradiction. Those are kind of values that a lot of people in this system have. I think it can be useful just to understand that. I don't know if those are your values, but if they are, this model will really help you identify beliefs that are useful, congruent with reality, and consistent. And so in summary, and I'm going to put this thing in the description if you're still with me. Thanks for being here. I think one of the best ways to use this is in some kind of journaling or dialogue practice. And here's a very structured journaling or dialogue practice you could use. First, think of an adverse event, something you really want to kind of, that's been a pattern for you recently that you want to work on. Maybe it's social anxiety, cravings, anger, a lot of guilt or shame. And write down you want to start with the C. Always start with C. You go C, A, B, because the beliefs are unconscious. So getting the C and the A first are really helpful. So step 1, write down the consequence, the emotion or behavior, in the form of I felt anxious, or I did/behaved angrily, etc. So either I felt or I behaved. Step 2, write down an activating event in the form of this event happened, or the situation happened here. I felt a very intense craving. I felt a craving. It happened at a family get-together we were at. Draw out the belief by asking and answering questions in your journal about what the activating event meant to you, and expressing the belief in the form of, at that moment, I thought, going back to the craving, some people think I've been here for sure. Like I'll always have these kind of cravings, and it'll never get better. I might as well just drink, or something like that. Wherein we'll just leave it at that. That might be a belief, or I shouldn't. I've been working at this recovery thing for a year, I shouldn't still be having cravings. This is ridiculous. There might be a belief like that. And challenge the belief. Is there proof of that? Like, for example, in the belief I just did, actually, I'm 8 years into recovery, still get cravings. People get cravings all the time. It happens. So the belief that I shouldn't have cravings is just not congruent with reality. My reality, and also people I know who are also on the recovery journey. Fortunately, I have a lot of cool coping mechanisms now. But yeah, and I'm kind of bleeding ahead into the last step, forming a replacement belief, or playing around with, I call it like belief shifting, like what would a different belief look like. So it could be something like I said, urges can happen, and I feel prepared and ready to deal with them because of the awesome community I have and the tools I've been learning in Smart Recovery and in other contexts. And so if you have any questions, I'd love to hear from you. Please do drop a comment. If you've been finding this material useful, if you want more stuff on Smart Recovery or these kind of coping mechanisms or tools, let me know. And please do like, share, subscribe, so you can see our future things, but also so other people who might benefit from this material can see it as well. So with that said, thanks for being here. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.